Oh, yes.
The king.
So, perfect. We're going to start with Brandon. What we're going to do is just going to go down the line. Let's give everyone a background on how you got into building a personal brand.
Yeah, all right. So personal brand-wise, I never even thought about the concept at all when I got started. I mean, in fact, I was kind of late, I felt like, to the Instagram game. And I still, I mean, there's never been a viral point. I've never had like a post go viral ever. It's like literally just been like chugging along for now the past, 4 or 5 years. 6 years maybe I've been on Instagram. But a lot of that just extends from other places that I'm seeing, like the books, like the podcast, things like that. So yeah, I just started, I guess, if you look back at my early Instagram, I was like posting food pictures and stuff. And then I realized pretty quickly that nobody cared about that, and they cared about what's in it for them. So I just started posting what's in it for them.
We're gonna get to Lisa, but how do you go from 0 to 300,000 real followers? I mean, we know how we can pay to get there, obviously, but how do you do that? And I asked you said it just slowly, organically, like it just kept happening.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, like I said, there was no magic to it other than just like doing the work. It's kind of like, again, you want to lose weight. Like there's no like magic. It's just like you eat less calories and you work out more than you should. I mean, you work out a bunch and like, whoa, what happened? I got a six-pack. I don't. But like, whoa, like, hey, Gabe's got a six-pack wherever he is. It's like, he put the work in, right? So I just put the day-to-day work. And this is a much longer conversation, but I'll say real quickly is I am the worst in the world at doing the day-to-day work. Anybody else like struggle with that? Like, you know what to do, you just don't do it. Like, you know that you need to analyze deals every day in your real estate business, you don't do it. So what I learned is just like, I hire someone else. And guess what employees are really good at doing? The day-to-day work. So as soon as I did that, my Instagram actually just started like kind of running on autopilot, and now it just keeps going.
Love it. We talked about scale earlier. Lisa, you're just a hustler, man. How did you get into this?
Well, it kind of happened by accident as well. I modeled all during college and law school, and so during that time, Facebook and Instagram was becoming a thing and becoming a platform. So initially, I just used it for my modeling. So if you look up my super early Instagram photos, this is back when Maxim was a magazine. This is how old I am. So it was like Maxim, FHM, Sports Illustrated. Yeah, so it was like kind of 2009, 2010, in that range. So it was just professional modeling photos. And then I quickly realized this is a place where there's a lot of eyeballs. So what do I want my message to be? And by that point, I started working my big girl job at a law firm. And so I started morphing my messaging a little bit just around like kind of business and entrepreneurship and women in business. And that's what my messaging is to this day.
So here, I know I'm talking a little bit about like, okay, they have 300,000 followers on Instagram, or you have 90,000, I think, almost 100,000, Lisa. Why the hell does that matter? Why is that important? I was thinking about this the other day. Back in the day, I would put people on these paid talk shows, whether you were like a lawyer or a doctor or a real estate professional. I'd pay like $2,000, whether it was LA Market or Phoenix Market, to go on these like morning paid shows. You guys all seen those like paid talk shows, right? Like Sonoran Living, or, and there's like, these bubblegum kind of reporters talking about whatever. People will pay for segments. Well, those segments back in the day, this was probably 7 to 10 years ago, when I'd have people on the shows, would probably produce about 22 to 25,000 people. That was about the audience size. Well, people like all of these people up here that have built organic follow on social, they're getting that on social every day, free, as soon as they post it, okay? That's the major shift that's happened from television viewing audience to digital and social channels. It has happened dramatically. Television audience has been dropping faster than when newspaper dropped from before the day. I mean, we're talking 50, 60% drop. So when I talk about these numbers, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, who gives a shit that someone has 300,000 people on Instagram? Well, I care about eyeballs, and when you start to think about monetizing what that would cost to pay for those eyeballs, that's why those numbers are important. So I did want to jump in a little bit there.
I was gonna say, yeah, we raised $150 million from Instagram. So if you think there's no value in Instagram, we raised $150 million from Instagram, just because that's the only platform I really have. Like, podcast goes Instagram. So yeah, there's value in social media. It's dumb sometimes, but
that blew my mind. By the way, Meta, Instagram, Facebook's platform, just surpassed television advertising in the US in terms of ad sales over the pandemic. I can't remember the number, but in the billions. It was pretty crazy. So Pace, what's up, brother?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. So Instagram is such an interesting thing. So for me, it was always a messaging platform for me to attract a tribe that I really wanted. And when I first started, I was a contractor. I talked to Brandon Turner about this earlier, but months ago. I would show before and after photos of my construction company and what we would do just for fun. I was just trying to learn the mechanics of Instagram. I had no idea what it would bring me. And then I got a big contract with Open Door, not your Open Door.
Not my Open Door.
But a different Open Door. And
I had the name first.
Instagram led me to my first year where I took home $1 million to my household, like net after taxes. It was because of Instagram. And when
What do you mean by that? What do you mean Instagram $1 million?
Well, Instagram, no, not literally from Instagram. Like Instagram didn't pay me. It was just that customers found me, right? So Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, they would come into Phoenix and they would look for contractors. And the way they look for contractors, they actually went on social media to see who was, like, they would go hashtag contractor and they would find contractors that were posting stuff.
So you attributed $1 million of deals from Instagram.
Well, Open Door alone, just from that one contract, I took home $1 million in 2015 just from Open Door.
Wow.
Took home, like after everything was paid. Net. Just from that one contract. And that came from Instagram. And then when you start realizing how easy it is to really post on Instagram, like who posted on Instagram today? Okay, who did not? And then tell me why you didn't. Come on, somebody that's not shy. Stand up and say, why did you not post on Instagram? Oh, how dare you? Somebody tried
glad you're here.
Good for you.
Somebody tried to give me a business card earlier, and I said, I'm not taking that. Start an Instagram, DM me, and then that's your business card. That's how it is today. But somebody else. Well, why did you not post today? Oh, you called in sick work? Oh, that's so good. Yes.
Actually, a really good reason.
That's awesome.
Hold on. Somebody post on Instagram that he's here, please. Most of the time, people don't post because they feel like they don't have content, right? Like imposter syndrome, right? So I do the Clint Eastwood tactic, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I talk about the things that I learned today, not the things that I know, okay? Or the people I met today, right? And I would post about this, and I would talk about things that excited me, not things that I knew or I was an expert at. And then other people, my tribe started coming in going, oh my gosh, I'm trying to learn that too. And then I started realizing about 2019, I started DMing more than I would text. In fact, I find my wife and I communicate a lot on DMs.
Yeah, we do too.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Pace, do you think Instagram channel in particular for real estate professionals, people scaling their business, is a marketing channel that everyone must be on? Is that kind of, I feel like that's what I'm hearing. Is that?
It's irresponsible for you not to. It's irresponsible. I have we have 750 employees now. They depend on me posting on Instagram. My business depends on me posting on Instagram. 75% of my sales in one of my businesses comes from YouTube. Organic traffic. 75% of my sales. And that's a $25 million a year business. Interesting, isn't it?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. No paid traffic, nothing. Just all organic stuff. Giving away value, just teaching people what I learned yesterday and what I'm implementing in my business today. Nothing about imposter syndrome. I'm not trying to pretend something I'm not. And then I naturally attract a tribe that I can vibe with.
I couldn't agree. I mean, from a paid standpoint, most of our business, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars in paid ads. Instagram, by far, over the last decade, has been the best performing ad platform you can have. The way it is in environment, the way the ads look. So if you can build organic following or any sort of relevance in that channel, it's an absolute game changer. By the way, Instagram ad sales in the last 2 years have almost tripled because the big people have realized, like, if you want to convert, that's the platform. I want to say 1 in 3 ads now served are in either Instagram or Facebook. But boy, I got to tell you, I wanted to challenge you on that point because, I struggle with this as an advertising person to put my stuff on Instagram. I don't like it. It's hard because people make fun of you. Sometimes you can look stupid. So the fact you're so strong, though, saying everyone should be on it, I love.
It's the filtering mechanism, though. I have a lot of my family members that I'm like, please don't follow me. Just go away. It's a filtering mechanism, right? And over time, the people who you really like and like you, they naturally follow you. Instagram is actually a very friendly place, right? It's a very friendly place.
It's not Twitter.
Twitter's not, TikTok is not, but Instagram is a very friendly place. And what I look at is like everybody in this room wants something. Brandon wants to raise capital for his multifamily stuff. And how do I know that? Brandon and I didn't talk on the phone. Like, think about this.
Because I don't talk on the phone.
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
I don't use the
DM.
phone. You talk to Mike for that.
Him and I will DM. It's really funny. I'll text him, and it'll take him a week to reply. But if I DM him, he'll get back to me.
That's so true.
So what's interesting is, like, if you take a hamburger outlet, right, and you put a golden arch in front of it, it's now McDonald's, right? Could you ever imagine McDonald's trying to sell a hamburger without any signage whatsoever?
No.
Okay, so how is it that real estate investors in here are trying to attract deals, private lenders, et cetera, without any signage whatsoever? Thach, when I think about Thach, actually, when I think about Burr, the first thing I think of is Thach.
Yeah, he kills it.
He kills it. He's so freaking phenomenal. His golden arches stand so tall. We know what he sells. We know what he wants. We know what, and so when somebody gets a deal in your local market and they have to make a decision between another investor and Thach, who are they choosing? All day long, they're
Market
choosing.
leader. Let's go over to you. We have a special guest here. Obviously, those who don't know about you, could you give a little bit? How'd you get started?
Yeah. So I was just busy doing real estate, and so one day I had a young guy named Lorenz, about just a little over 2 years ago. That's when we started Instagram, and we started on TikTok about a year ago. And a little over 2 years ago, Lorenz says, "Hey man, I'm 23 years old. I want to interview you. Right? Will that be okay?" And I said, "Sure." He come to my office and interview me, and then when he got done, then I wanted to know about him. What do you do? I do YouTube skits. I said, "Oh," and then we get talking. He talking about all the social media thing he does, YouTubing for himself, and Instagram. And he asked me, "Are you on Instagram?" I said, "No, I'm only on Facebook." And I was like, "Bro, you got to be on Instagram. It's the thing now." And I said, "Well, man, I'll make a deal with you. You work for me as an intern for 6 months. If you're good, I'll hire you after that. And if I really like it, I'll teach you how to do real estate." So Lorenz said, "Done deal." So Lorenz came, and he spent the first 6 months with me, and he just really listened to a lot of the stuff I talk about real estate. Then he took that and he go, "All right, here's how we're gonna do it," because he's so into the trend of how they make Instagram and how they make, because it's a very, very unique way to edit Instagram, and there's a different way to edit TikTok if you really want it to go viral. And so Lorenz says, "We're gonna do it this way, but you just deliver the content. So I'm gonna ask you a question, I want you to say certain things, and then I'm gonna video it and I'm gonna cut it, right, in a certain way, and then we're gonna create it." And the first one we did, it did okay. And next thing we knew, we did another one, and then it just started. And so now, two years later, we're about to hit 1 million follower on Instagram organically in 2 years, right? And then on TikTok, we started a year ago, and it's the same thing, it's a trend. And then we did the same thing, we created content, and then a year later, we're about to hit 2 million follower on TikTok right now.
Wow. Wait, and what's that's amazing. That is not easy.
No, it's not.
What's your team and resources look like to do that?
Yeah, it's me and Lorenz, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's insane.
So him and I share a account, and this is called Thach account. And every time him and I have an idea, we write it down and we share this, and we put fire next to it. We got to make this video. Right?
This is on the Notes app on your iPhone.
My note app. Okay.
Legit, he's sharing the Notes app on his iPhone with a team member. That's it.
And so we write little things. Like we know our brand. Like in business, we know what I do. I buy property and I add value and I keep them as rentals, right? Or I buy dirt and I build new construction and I keep them as rental. And there's so many facets of it, all right? How do you find the dirt, right? Or how do you find a contractor? So much goes to that. And every time we think about it on business, we write on all different business topic. And in personal, my personal life is about contribution. My personal brand is about uplifting people, inspiring people, living a life of balance and joy and creativity. And so when I think about that, every time I think of an idea, I write down the notes. And then me and Loren would take that, and then every Monday and Wednesday, we will sit down, we'll take the content, and then we'll write a title for it. So here's the tip for you guys. When you want to do viral video, there's 3 things you got to do. 1, you got to have a hook. Okay? So a hook is, you know, how this 19-year-old made $100,000 in 30 days. It gotta be real, but that's the hook. Because there's so much happening, you want them to stop the scroll. And so we have a title like, how this 19-year-old made $100,000 in 30 days. That hook is strong. And then the second part to it is you want the content. Now say what you gotta say. And then the third part is you want a killer outro. You know what I mean? Right? So that's why, if you guys probably know, my video that I just done over and over and over, that just get viral over and over is, don't buy this car, buy this first. Don't invest in this, invest in first. When we did that, it just hit 11 million, 20 million views, and I did that video. I just posted one of those again last week, and it hit 5 million. And I done this video over a year, over and over and over. It is a certain music you want to put to it, certain outro, intro, all that, and it's just simple, right? We all know, buy the one, rehab it, and that's it. That's the formula. And so me and Loren, that's it. Me and him together. We write down a topic, and then Wednesday and Monday we just shoot a bunch of video. And for me, you guys, for the last 2 years, I post 3 on TikTok, 3 on Instagram. I just started YouTube Shorts, 3 on YouTube Short, and I'm starting a YouTube channel now. But I didn't want to start YouTube because I wanted to grow the Instagram and TikTok first, so I can actually move them over to YouTube. But I've been doing 2 TikTok, 2 Instagram, and 2 and 2 on Facebook for the last 2 years straight, 7 days a week.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
you have a one-man crew.
One-man crew, me and Loren, that's it.
That's insane.
That's it.
So I posted a poll. I said, best distribution channel for real estate content. By far right now, YouTube's winning out. I was actually kind of surprised by that. Makes sense with a kind of a visual piece to it. But I want to go back to Lisa over here. What advice would you give to somebody thinking about marketing, thinking about getting into the social space? Like, it's kind of daunting to be like, oh shit, I got to post every day. Like, do I get a team? Like, what do I have to invest? Like, how would you advise people to get started?
I think it can be really intimidating, but I think the best thing you can do is figure out what your goal is with it. Why do you even want to post in the first place? Is it to share knowledge? Is it to be inspirational? Is it to share all the mistakes you've made because you don't want other people to make it? Do you want to inspire maybe a different segment of people who aren't into real estate or into real estate investing to get into that? Figure out what your end goal is of why you even want to be posting in the first place, and then just make sure that you stick to that messaging.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I kind of have a rule of 3. I have like 3 conjoining circles. We've all seen this done before. But number 1, what's your audience? So I heard from Thach a lot, like, and Pace talked about your tribe. So let's like audience first. So who is my audience? Is it contractors? Is it investors? Is it Phoenix market? Is it Austin market? Really think about audience first, and then think about who you are as a brand. Like, what do you like? What are you all about? What's true and authentic to you? A lot of times people and brands, they try to stretch because they think an audience wants something, and so they try to be that, and they're not true to themselves. So what's your brand? Who are you? What's your audience? And the third piece is, how are you differentiated from the competition, right? So those 3 things in the middle becomes kind of what your content and your brand's all about. And I would say the biggest mistake that I've made and I see people make is just creating content's not enough. There has to be a distribution strategy to that content, whether it's a hook, whether it's paid, whether it's collabs or influencers. So those are kind of like just nuts and bolts how I would start to strategize with those circles. Anything like you would add to, like, there's a lot of people like on that diving board. When I heard the people's hands kind of timidly raise up, there's a lot of people sitting on a diving board looking at a pool, and the diving board shaking, and they're thinking about wanting to get into some sort of new marketing to build their brand, and I'm not sure they know how to jump in the pool. What would you say, Brandon?
Yeah, one of the pieces of advice I got very early on from there's a guy named Pat Flynn. He has a podcast called Smart Passive Income. It's what I listened to before Bigger Pockets and kind of modeled Bigger Pockets podcast after. But he once said how he deliberately will talk about his family and his kids and things because people resonate with that. They like that. I mentioned it in the other room the other day when I did a thing, is I had an investor say that he invested with me because of how I talk about my wife online. In other words, like, and I'm not just trying to pat myself on the back, I'm saying like people, like, they want to connect with you. They don't invest with you, they don't want to work with you because of your company or your logo or your name, they want you, right? So I guess the advice I have is like, don't be afraid to just be personal. Just say what you're going through. Like, I call it intentional authenticity. It means like you're authentic, but you're not hiding it. You're intentionally putting out there the authentic stuff. Like Pace, you said, like this is what I learned. This is a mistake that I made. This is what's going on. So I'll tell people things deliberately. Like, I'm not hiding the fact that my entire life, including today at this very second, I hate the way that I sound. I've got a slight lisp. It bothers me, and it's like this, like in my soul.
I never noticed that, but now all I'm going to
now
be
it's
doing
all
is
you're going to hear.
looking for that.
I mean, it's not like this, but it's bad, right? No, it's in my head though. I mean, I when I was a kid, I did speech therapy, and like that has bothered me my entire life, and it's like this thing, this thorn in my side. Now, why did I just say that right now? It's because everybody here is now thinking, oh yeah, I got something like that too. Like, I know what that's like, right? So I mean, it's not a lie. It's not made up. It's not manufactured. But I was intentional about putting that out there because I know that I just got a deeper connection with every person in this room by sharing that.
So I love that you said that. Edelman, a big PR agency, one of the biggest PR agencies in the world, they put out a trust barometer report. And right now in 2022, we have the lowest trust factor they've ever seen. People don't believe anything, right? You don't believe politicians, you don't believe teachers, you don't believe your parents, you don't believe your kids. I want to say it was like 87% of people basically don't believe shit, right? And so to Brandon's point, social media in particular, the authenticity has to be so high. The vulnerability has to be so high. And people are looking for people that they want to trust. And so the more they see of you, the more they see this authenticity, it absolutely works. It's why major companies that don't have personal brands, we have to manufacture human characteristics to brands. Jolly Green Giant, Tony the Tiger, right? Like we're trying to manufacture like some fake, LLC company to be personal. The beauty in real estate is you have personalities already. And oh, by the way, you have properties, you have things you're doing, you have investing. It can be for anybody. You have advice to give. Like it's the perfect segment for human characteristics and great storytelling. Pace, I mean, you've built a show on this. Did you start and say, hey, I'm going to build a show and then build social? It sounded like you built social and then the show.
No, I'll give you guys does anybody want to hear?
Tell us about the show.
You guys want to hear how we got the TV show? Okay, so our TV show is Triple Digit Flip. Don't watch it if you're a fix and flipper because you'll hate it. It's not meant for you. It's meant for regular, everyday people. It's on A&E. Our paycheck says Disney on it, which is very crazy to think. And it's the #1 TV show on A&E. We just signed for 6 seasons, and we're talking about spin-off shows. So where did that come from? Where did a freaking TV show come from? It came from a YouTube channel that had 5,000 subscribers. Wow. That's how I got it. And what I was doing on my YouTube channel is I don't know what I'm going to post. I'm just going to post what I learned today. That's literally it. And so one day, my business partner on the TV show, in real life, we're fierce competitors. Jamil Damji and I were competing on the same property together. Okay, so we had a wholesaler send me a deal. He says, hey, Pace, I've got this property. I'll sell to you for $165. I go, that's a great deal. I'll buy it right now, $165. And 5 minutes later, he comes back and he goes, hey, I got another offer at $170. Can you go to $175? And I'm like, fine. You ever deal with that, Thach? Yeah. So I say $175. What do you think happened? $180. So I then text Jamil, my buddy, and I go, dude, who's up in the night offering $185 on this freaking house? And he goes, that's me, dude. I'm the other guy on the deal. So I go, let's just buy the deal together, right? And so we buy the deal together. I fund it, and then I wake up early one morning. I go, let's go over and do a YouTube video. So I post on Instagram stories. I go, hey, guys, we're doing a little meetup at this house Jamil and I just bought together. And we had like 30, 40 people show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We film a YouTube video talking about how we could have competed, we could have continually bid each other up, but we're collaborating instead. and somebody forwards that to a head executive of A&E Networks, and they go, this is what we want on our TV show. So we never had to do a pilot. We never had to do a sizzle reel. They picked us up because of the authenticity of what we were doing.
Wow, I love that. That's badass. That's it. You looked in pain over that deal when they were negotiating.
My tip for you guys is if you want to start, TikTok is the leading trend right now. YouTube Shorts is the second trend, and Instagram is third now. If you're gonna start on TikTok, because they make the algorithm so you can get way more visible, and it starts. So if you're gonna make any video, make it on TikTok. The great thing about TikTok, if you make 30-second to 60-second video, it will make it different. Okay, that's the first thing you should do. The second thing you should do is you should put an ad out there and look for a Lorenz in your town. We're considered old. There's a lot of 20, 21, 22, 23 are into TikTok, Instagram. They know how to shoot it, they know how to edit it, they know how to actually create content, and then they will come to you and go, Brandon, I need you to do this, this, and this, or say this, this, and this, and they will take care of it. And they will actually cut it, edit, do everything for you. So what you want to do, run an ad and say, I want to start a YouTube, I want to start a TikTok account. Anyone out there specializing in doing TikTok, come see me. If you do that, all you need is one Lorenz and you can be up and running and simple. You take that TikTok video, you take out the watermark, and you put it on Instagram. That's it. But you do that, you put it on YouTube Shorts, put it on Instagram, that one video, you just did 3 posts with one video. Then you grow it from there. You do one every day, 5 days, 7 days a week, and it will take off. So go find a Lorenz, start with TikTok first, okay? And that's how you get started on it.
How much time are you spending a week doing this?
Now it's easier because I understand it now. Of course, when I was younger, I just didn't understand it. But now, pretty much all day Monday and pretty much all day Wednesday, we just shoot because we post so much. Yep. So we probably make 5 to 10 videos, like 1 minute video, 5 to 10 of them on Monday, 5 to 10 of them on Wednesday. And after that, then we're done. But you think about it, we're not making YouTube video. We're just making 30-second to 60-second video. You see, that's it.
I love it. I've been so humbled in social. I mean, I've had an ad agency for 15 years, and I thought I knew everything, honestly. And I remember like it was yesterday, Kim McElroy, who's been my mentor, he's like, hey, Scott, I'm doing this podcast, come over to my office. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Like, my mentor started a podcast. Everyone's starting a podcast. That's what I thought. That's how naive I was. And I was like, okay, he's got books, maybe he'll figure this shit out. I doubt it. But I went to his office, and I get there, I swear, is in the conference room with like a microphone in the middle of this conference room. There's no equipment. I mean, I'm used to like $2 million television production shoots, okay? And I'm like, this is pretty whack. Like, this is not gonna work. But whatever.
This is when he had the paper easel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was crazy. And we go in there and we do this podcast. I'm cool, whatever. To this date, that's the top video I've ever done as a marketing person. And his podcast now is a top 50. I think he told me it was like 130,000 downloads a month. He showed me his YouTube. It's been, I want to say, about 2 years. So if you're disciplined and you know how to do this bite-sized content, I'm telling you, the big brands, the big agencies, we don't know how to do it. It's humbled us.
Let me say this.
It's crazy.
You gotta know all my video that I put out, it's done on this phone right here. That's the whole production, this phone. That's it. Me and Lorenz make video. All those videos you see that you like,
it's
right
insane.
Here.
No excuse. There's no excuse.
Now, let me say this also, okay? All the little short videos, I haven't taken any yet. Soon I will. I've been just patient. I got so many sponsorship that comes in every day. It's ridiculous. I mean, like, ridiculous. I got a TV show right now that's about to happen. I've been keeping it low key, but it's gonna happen soon. It's a whole Burr show. It's a whole TV show on Burr, right? But everything, you guys, for 2 years, it's been done on this iPhone. No production, no camera. It's this right here. All this video, and the executive of all these companies and all these big companies want to give me money for, like, hey, can you make me a video? Look, I'll show you how crazy it is. They say to me, I'll pay you $5,000 a video if you can make me one every week, and I'll pay you 20 grand in a month. For 5,000 for 1 minute video. And I pay you. Do 4 of that a month, and I'll give you 20 grand. And I haven't taken it yet because I don't want it yet. But that's to show you how much. My friend got 4.5 million on TikTok. They pay him $25,000 a video, a 1 minute video. 25,000. And he got 4.5 million on TikTok. That's crazy. That's serious money.
You're 100% right. Ad agencies and brands now.
They want people like
We're not shooting our own stuff anymore. This is why influencers, I believe, is still the most underrated form of marketing out there.
Yes.
I'm putting biggest percentage I've ever seen to influencer budgets. The reason is they create the content and they have a distribution channel for content, right? Typically, the old model was we shoot a bunch of content really expensively, and then we pay ads for the content. Now you just go to influencers, they create the content, and they have a distribution. So I will say the most second form of underrated ways to get out there are collaborations, because they have all their own audience, and influencers. I would put the majority of budget into those things right now, because I still think they're underrated. I want to get back to you, because you're the king, not only in your town but everywhere. I mean, your social is so on point. Is it because you've had that background in social, or like what? Like, I know you talked a little bit about it, but like help us understand. Like, I think he had great points. It's so simple. I still don't believe it's that simple, but I feel like it's that simple. Like, what do you think, like, to Thach's point? I don't know where I'm getting on my question here, but chime in here and say some smart stuff.
Well, I think, like I said, you have to go back to, like, why are you posting, right? And like I said, once I realized that I wanted to have a different type of audience than what I initially started with, right? I started with modeling photos, so they're bikini and lingerie photos, right? And so guess what? My audience was like creepy old dudes. And I was like, oh, that's not the look, you know? Yeah, I'm getting I'm getting DMs like asking for feet pics and stuff, and I'm like, this is not it. So, once I switched up my messaging, I switched up my content, and I started posting about what I was doing in business. I was posting about real estate deals. I was posting inspirational quotes that I found that's resonated with me. And then started posting about, articles I was writing on Forbes about women in business. So guess what? Now a lot of my audience are young entrepreneurs, they're female founders, they're women who are getting into real estate and real estate investing, and that's fulfilling to me. And so I get DMs every day, and it's a lot of times from women who are asking questions about how they can get into real estate, or they're telling me about their deals they're doing or about their wins they're having. And that's really exciting for me, and that's really fulfilling for me. So that's what I enjoy about social media, is that it's an opportunity for you to connect right away, share some knowledge, and hopefully build a community like you guys were talking about.
I want to add this too. If you're going to do TikTok, and especially Instagram, do less post and do more video. Post, don't do nothing. When you put a little quote or you take a picture, it doesn't do nothing. If you're going to do it statistically and make video. 30-second video, 1 minute video will go 10 times farther than a post. Okay?
And it's sometimes the mundane stuff too. Like my boyfriend and I, we went out to a shotgun range that's in Boulder City in Nevada, and he just took a video of me shooting a shotgun. I was loading it up and I shot it, and we got 30 million views on Facebook on that. Yeah, just the most. And I looked crazy. I had these like terrible like socks with shoes. Like I looked so weird because it was like 7 a.m. and it's the desert. But it just, the weirdest stuff will sometimes go viral and you'll get eyeballs on it. So just be yourself and put stuff out there.
Does anybody ever worry that they're not, like, if you look at the 4 of us, really the 5 of us, we're all pretty, like, engaging, like, charismatic, big, like, people. Does anybody else feel like, well, I'm not that way? Anybody else ever feel that way? It's like, you like, how am I supposed to compete with, like, but I just want to give some encouragement to those people who maybe don't feel like they're, like, energetic or want to bring that energy, can't talk as fast or as good as we can. Anybody watch or seen that guy, big muscles, always in a shirt, Alex Hermosi or something like that? Anybody seen him come up on your Instagram, right? Like, the dude is, like, worth, like, $100 million, or has, like, $100 million a year coming in. Crazy rich guy. His videos look like this. And he talks about like this. It's like this. But every video, every word he says is gold. I recommend watching every video. Every video I'm like, yes, yes. It's like, just like he just doesn't care. It doesn't matter. His energy is not in the volume. His energy is not in the way he necessarily conducts himself, it's in the words that he writes. It's actual gold content. So every video he puts out there gets 10 times more views than any video I put out there. Like it's just gold. So I have another buddy, Jude Bernard. He's a super cool guy out in Brooklyn. He runs the Brooklyn Bank, great organization. Jude doesn't like video at all. He doesn't like himself on camera. So you know what Jude does? He just takes a cool picture of himself or something in Brooklyn, and then writes this amazing post. Really well thought out, really deep story. Every time, people, like, it gets more views than anything I ever do. And it's not even video. So in other words, be good. Like, do a good job at the content. The reason people love Thach and you got 1 million followers because every video is gold. Everyone is gold. So just don't be vanilla. Don't be like weak. Like, give them your best stuff, and people are gonna follow you and they're gonna love it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's good. I guess we're
Yeah,
clapping.
thank you. Come on.
Booyah,
I guess that's good.
Thank you. Okay, stop.
Yeah.
All right, come on again.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
stop.
thought with the clap, I'm like, wait, are we clapping or not?
Yeah, do we clap?
Yeah. No, but I agree. It's not about being charismatic at all. It's about belief. I truly believe we're not in a currency economy anymore. I think we're more moving to a belief economy. And so it's about garnering as much belief as possible, not fans, not likes. It's about getting people to believe that what you're doing is freaking real. So I think that's a great encouragement. We've talked a ton about social. This thing was more about, of course, personal brand. I mean, socials is the thing now. Obviously, it's how we communicate. Is there anything else we're missing? Is there pace? I'm looking at you, bud. Because we're talking about pretty high funnel kind of stuff, right? We're talking more on the awareness side. Most real estate people I've ever talked to, it's more they're the conversion people. It's right, like it's mailers, it's calls, it's like they want sales and they're measuring sales, and most tactics are around more the conversion side. Is there other places in the funnel from building your personal brand that we can elaborate on?
I can tell you the most important part of my personal brand is something we have not even touched base on, which is my Facebook group. I have a 50,000, does anybody in my Facebook group, Creative Finance with Pace Morby? Wow, I gotta work harder. But I have 50,000 people in there, and what happens is people that come into my DMs on Instagram or TikTok, or they make comments on YouTube and they go, well, I wanna learn more. I always push them to a community of people that can actually help them, because nowhere on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube can you really have a conversation with people. That's what Facebook groups are for. And so what ends up happening is people come to me and go, and same thing for me. I can go to my Facebook group right now and acquire $1 million of real estate today, like in the next 30 minutes. And so when you create a tribe of people and they start hanging out with each other, people are getting married in my Facebook group, like legit getting married in my Facebook group.
That's creepy.
But there's longevity there. So the thing that I don't love about TikTok, I think we're at I don't know where we're at. Eric, where are we at? 800, 900,000? TikTok's great, but it's temporary. If it doesn't go viral right away, guess what? Nobody's going back in your TikTok feed and looking up your videos, other than maybe they might scroll 6 inches, but people aren't going back and really dating you long. And so for me, I look at YouTube. How did Brandon raise $150 million? Well, number one, he is charismatic and he's very smart and he's lovable.
Keep going.
But also,
keep going.
Also, he was on YouTube where here's the challenge with TikTok and Instagram. For people that are loquacious like me, or you want to talk a lot, YouTube is really easy because you don't really have to filter yourself. You can just have a conversation. That's where people really get to know you. Does anybody feel like they know Brandon Turner like a brother in here in a weird way? Like when I first met Brandon Turner, I'm like, wow, this is my brother, right? And that's because of YouTube or also Facebook group. So if you don't have a Facebook group, you should create a Facebook group for your local area and start bringing people in there so you guys can start doing deals and raising money together. Because TikTok, it's like, oh, comment, a like, but where are you actually building a long-term relationship is a Facebook group.
I'm gonna add this, and I agree with Pace. TikTok and Instagram is made so it can point them where you want them to go.
It's the lead magnet.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you got a website, if you got you want them to go to a funnel that you're selling product, you want to have them go to, raising capital funnel, you want them to go to a Facebook group. The reason why you want to do TikTok, Instagram, because it's the platform where the most eyeballs are at today. So you use it smart. You use it so that you can you can create the eyeball faster, and you point the eyeball to where you want them to go. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like a dating app, right? I was too old before it came out. Actually, my wife and I, we met on Facebook. She DM'd me, just FYI, guys. She slid into my DMs 14 years ago. But Instagram, TikTok are a dating app, right? It's swipe left or swipe right. Do I like this person? Do I not like this person? And Thach is right. What happens is when you like that person, Thach has a way, or we have a way, to push people to other mediums like YouTube. YouTube is where they decide whether they want to marry you or not. Like, I want to give Brandon $10 million for a fund he has. I mean, how many freaking apartment buildings are you buying right now? A ton, right? But how do I know that? Because I watch your stuff. And I dated you, I like you, then I go and marry you by actually getting in business with you, usually through longer form content.
And this is why personal brand is inexplicably like intertwined with your business brand, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's 100%. And especially because we're in a digital age now where when you meet someone, what do you usually do? Most people will Google people if they don't know much about them, right? And what usually comes up? Wikipedia, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Right? Those will all generate on that first page of Google. So if you don't have those at least fleshed out just a little bit, it's actually to your detriment because people want to know what they can find out about you as quickly as possible.
One thing that's a little tip, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
Do anybody have an Instagram account that it's your business account is your name? You need to immediately change
100%.
that. 100%. People do not buy your company, they buy you. Change it to your personal name every single time.
It's the same brand anyway.
It is the same brand.
100%. So a couple quick points. I think as the evolution of how people buy things and how people are finding you, right? We started with brick and mortar. You had a storefront, right? And then we went to, you had a URL, you have a website. Now you have an Instagram, Facebook, right? Like that's your storefront. Then Web 3.0, we won't even get into that, but that potentially could be the next storefront. First point. Second point I think that we forget about is we all want people to think that people buy things logically, and that doesn't happen. I can tell you 20 plus years being in marketing, what happens is, and this is why social and these tactics are so important and why they work and we don't even know why they work. I'll tell you why they work. People emotionally make judgment calls all the time. And so when you go to like for instance, you go to Brandon's Instagram page, which I did before this panel, and I'm like, I freaking like that guy in 2 seconds. What's happening in the back of my head, right, my limbic system is making that call before my frontal cortex is saying that's a good call. But what happens is, as business smart people, as financial people, as educated people, we want to think that we're smart and we're making smart decisions, when in reality our limbic system's in control and they're telling us who we like, who we're going to be a fan of, who we're going to buy stuff with, and then the frontal cortex is coming back and it's rationalizing that decision. So that's why all these social channels as a personal brand, the videos, the trust, your personal life, all matter. It's going to someone's limbic system and they're saying, boom, I like that person. And then you're justifying it with all the other logical reasons. They were a good price, they were down the street, my friend knew them, or whatever. So like, I think a lot of times there's a lot of overwhelming, everyone needs to do social, everyone needs to do social. It's like, yeah, that's cool for you to say, you're a big deal on social, or you have a personality, like I'm not that way. But I just think, how do we again get to that quick, I like that person, and I think a lot of times we overcomplicate it, and I'm hearing very simple things to do and why it works.
I'll give you guys my watered down, simple, so you guys can start tomorrow, because it can be very overwhelming. When Lorenz said this to me, I was like, dude, man, I don't understand. What the hell are you talking about, bro? So number one, okay, your brand. Figure out what do you want people to know you for. If you're in real estate and you're investing, you're buying property, you want people to know what you're known for, okay? That's gonna be your content. You make more of that. Like my friend here, he got the Dadu shirt on. If I was him, I want everybody to know I buy land and I build Dadu. And all his content should be how I buy land, how I build Dadus, how I rent Dadu out, how I flip Dadu. It should be all that. That's all the tip. And then what you do is you get a Lorenz, okay? You figure out your message. you get a Lorenz, and then you figure out where do you want to send them to. Let's say you want to send them to a website, thedogdudeguy.com. Now, make short video. Go out there and make Instagram video. Make one Instagram video, take that same video, put it on YouTube Short, put it on TikTok, and then drive them to your website. If you did that right there with that message, and just keep it simple like that, give yourself 1 year, and I promise you. Now here's another tip. If you're gonna post, 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday is the best time. And then the second video should be 11 o'clock, and the second time. Okay, so Monday through Friday, 9 and 11. And on the weekend, right?
PM or AM? PM or AM?
Say it again?
PM or AM?
8 a.m. 9 a.m. is the first post, 12 p.m. the second post. On the weekend, 10 a.m. the first post, 1 o'clock the second post on the weekend. And if you're on TikTok, it should be 2 o'clock in the afternoon and below. All the young people, they just wake up at 1 o'clock. So you want to go 2 o'clock and below. 9 and 10 on Monday through Friday, 10 and 1 on the weekend, TikTok 2 o'clock. If you use that model I just gave you, I promise you 1 year, you will grow your social media fast, okay? That's my tip for you.
I love it, love it. Everyone up here, I want a quick question. I'm big on like percent of allocation of marketing budget. And I always say, okay, if you're in, Procter & Gamble, it's 15% of sales goes to marketing, right? Is there a rule of thumb for you, Pace? Or Brandon, anyone? Lisa?
Like how much I spend?
Yeah, of your total sales, what do you have a percent of marketing budget that you spend, or do you just know I need to get these marketing tactics done? Like, how do you start to think about like what sort of resources? I mean, yours is super simple, so I think a lot of people but is there other ways if you have a larger marketing department, how do you figure out what you're going to deploy in that channel?
Well, in my warm social media, there's 3 things I'm constantly looking for. So I'm looking for, when I make a post, I want 3 things in return. So hopefully maybe this helps answer the question. I want, number 1, raise private capital. That's what I want. Number 2, I want to recruit not just people, but also opportunities. And number 3, I want deals being sent to me. Okay, those are the 3 things I want every single time I make a post. So what ends up happening, I spend a lot of money on my brand. I was like Thach for a long, long time. It was just me for like the first 4 or 5 years, just me. And then about a year and a half ago, like Eric here with the camera, he was working in a bar for 11 and a half years, had a skill he didn't even know he really had, pulled him out of there. I pay him pretty well. And I would say we have a team of now 12 people. So we have a big team. Scary for a lot of people to hear that, but we have a team of 12 people, Facebook managers, YouTube managers, Instagram managers, blah, 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 all this stuff. We spend a lot of money. Our payroll is like 50 grand a month just in personal brand. But this year, I will buy over $60 million in real estate just from my personal brand.
Amazing.
The other thing that's really cool too is that Brandon has a fund, right? Open Door Capital. You know what's fun is that I don't even have to have a deal to go raise money. I can do a fund-to-fund model and I can go raise money for Brandon because I have a personal, I'm going to. We talked about it yesterday. I'm going to raise money through my social media for his deals and become his partner. And so it is, for me, I would say that it's less than, for the total year, I'll spend $600,000 in my marketing team expenses. And in terms of wholesale and fix and flip, we'll probably make $2 million from it, like cash in the door. And then we'll acquire $60 million in holdings. So it's pretty powerful. Honestly, like if I could double down 10 years ago, I would have quadrupled down.
How do you think about marketing investment, Brandon or Lisa?
I don't really spend any money right now. I mean, I have a VA in the Philippines who's $1,000 a month. He does everything. So I do the Gary Vaynerchuk model. I do 1 podcast a week on somebody's show. So maybe I've been on some of your shows before. I record it with my camera. I upload it to Google Drive, and that's it. So 99% of everything on my Instagram is done in an hour a week. And that's it. So I just do that, and it works really well. I mean, honestly, I'm not as big on social as these guys are. Like, they all have bigger, like, followings. And if I had a Lorenz or, like, that team, I know I could do more. But right now, like hanging out with my family is more important, right? So I keep it little. When I'm ready to pour in, which I will turn the volume up very soon, I will have a whole team, probably a lot more like Pace. But right now I'm traveling.
Lisa.
It's the same for me as well. We have marketing budget allocated in each of my companies, but for my personal brand, I spend very little other than just investments that I make into things I can learn. But I will say, the best part about social and combining your personal brand with your business brand is the opportunities that you get for community relationships. So I'm a former Miss Nevada, and during that time, I did nearly 500 community appearances, volunteering in schools, reading in hospitals, working with countless nonprofits. I did a Boys and Girls Club tour of the entire state of Nevada, and during that time I got a lot of eyeballs on social, right? But to this day, and that was a long time ago, I still have business relationships that I built from that time period. And one of the best ways, even like kids that I met, speaking to them in their elementary school classes, now they're like finding me on Instagram and like saying hello, which is pretty amazing now. So if you look at the way that your personal brand is tied to your business brand, you can use it as a way for access and to continue communication with people that you can continue to build relationships with.
I love it. I see people warming up in the bullpen here. We're getting ready to kind of close it out, but after hearing this, even just me listening, there's no excuse to not get started. I mean, there's one-person teams, there's 15-person teams, and it sounds like there's just so many areas to get going. I loved your just very specific ways and times to post. So I think we got really, big out there, fluffy, and then we got really tactical. So thank you guys for being here. It was a lot of fun. Learned a ton.